development or to help one be of benefit to others. So this first one, for example, whatever you meet unexpectedly, join with meditation. Typically, when we're surprised by something, it actually takes us out of our experience, out of the present moment. So the idea here is that that can actually serve as a reminder. Surprise can serve as a reminder to lean into our experience and step into the present moment. And also studying the teachings, an important part of Buddhist methods of training the mind. And so just, again, to provide some examples of how the conceptual mind is incorporated and utilized throughout the process of contemplative development and can even be utilized to support and facilitate non-conceptual development. So in therapy, how might we be cultivating worldview experience in coherence with clients? Well, this is from Siegel, Williams, and Teasdale, their book, Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy for Depression. And these are just some quotes from the book. At the heart of this depressive state of mind is a particular view. Within this view, the self is seen, or more precisely felt, as inadequate, worthless, and blameworthy. And negative thoughts are seen as accurate reflections of reality. So this last statement's pretty important, and we'll get to it when we talk about the non-conceptual, but thoughts are seen as reality. And again, we need to provide new experiences for the mind and body over and over again that will accumulate to create an alternative view. So essentially, just gradually and systematically disrupting one's current view to introduce a broader, perhaps, view. So how is conceptual mind training used at Naropa University? What's going on at Naropa that we're training the conceptual mind? Well, there's three distinct graduate programs in psychology training clinicians at Naropa. There's a somatic program, there's the transpersonal counseling program, there's a contemplative psychotherapy program. And this latter, the cohort actually goes on 2-month-long retreats during their training. And so as a whole group, they go up to the mountains and practice meditation together for an entire month. And one of the practices that they do in the second year is that they memorize and they train with these slogans. And also studying the Dharma alongside psychology. So the emphasis here is on developing wisdom alongside knowledge. There's also a lot of courses that integrate Buddhism in our curriculum. For example, in the contemplative psychotherapy program, this latter one I think is particularly worth mentioning, Buddhist Psychology 4, the practice of psychotherapy and the path of the Bodhisattva. I think that's really powerful. Comparing what a psychotherapist is doing, a clinician is doing, with a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva in Buddhism, for those of you that might not know, is someone who has taken a vow to actually practice and train the mind for the benefit of all beings. Now moving on to training the non-conceptual, so what's going on that side of the mind during the path of contemplative development. In our view, training the non-conceptual occurs along at least 2 dimensions, proceeding from narrow to broad and from surface engagement with awareness to deep engagement. Breadth of awareness is mediated by the number of content domains that are engaged, so how much one can hold simultaneously within awareness. And depth of awareness reflects the level of specificity engaged per domain, so the level of detail. And so, so in Buddhism, how is this done? Well, there's a number of different ways that training the non-conceptual occurs within Buddhism. These are just a few. And I also include mindfulness meditation in here as a distinct one, and one that's arisen in the West. And shamatha, vipassana, shamatha being more like mindfulness meditation, vipassana is more of an open awareness practice. Awareness practices in general, zazen, another open awareness practice in which things, both in vipassana and these other open awareness practices, things draw attention to themselves in our experience. It's more of a bottom-up kind of process that we're practicing with. And in therapy, how might the non-conceptual be incorporated? Well, in the MBCT, again with Siegel and colleagues, they're talking about the being mode. And so this might be comparable to what we're calling the non-conceptual. And this is incorporated into therapy and actually utilized to help the client. Instead of narrowly focusing on the present, cursorily process in terms of its standing with respect to goal achievement, so one's own agenda. The being mode experience in any moment can be processed in its full depth, width, and richness. And we imagine that training the non-conceptual helps promote worldview development as well by incorporating new experiences and awareness that also disrupt one's worldview experience coherence and perhaps provide new perspectives. So at Naropa, the non-conceptual is also involved in training the mind, of course. And these retreats that the contemplative psychotherapy students go on, these month-long retreats, they practice Maitri space awareness practice. So this is just taken directly from the website, a quote on describing these practices. Space awareness practice is done in 5 differently colored rooms that intensify different emotional and psychological states. So this practice was developed by Trungpa Rinpoche specifically for Westerners. By doing space awareness practice in the supportive context of retreat, students recognize their own patterns and develop friendliness towards themselves and others. This last sentence is powerful. The goal is to develop relaxation and fearlessness in dealing with others. So even just on the website, the emphasis is on training the mind for the benefit of others. There's also a practice requirement, depending on which program you're in. The amount differs. By the contemplative psychotherapy program, 5 hours per week of formal sitting meditation is a requirement. It's not so strictly enforced that you fail out of the program if you weren't practicing that much, but there's definitely a culture for it and even a peer culture for it at Naropa to support your practice. Also, we're required, regardless of what program we're in, to take a body awareness course, so something like Tai Chi, Aikido, yoga, something to get us in touch with our body so that we can come to know through the body in this kind of more non-conceptual way of knowing. And that's said to facilitate process with clients as well. We also have meditation practicums. For example, yesterday I was just sitting in a class on developing self-compassion and compassion for others. And so in these kinds of classes we might do more interpersonal meditation. So I was sitting across from someone as they were telling me a problem in their life, a distressing situation, and I was practicing sending them compassion. And then they did the same for me in return. So we're really practicing staying open in the face of other people's distress. And also individual meditation instruction is incorporated throughout the program by advanced meditators. And actually a number of our professors at Naropa are not only psychotherapists, but senior teachers in meditation lineages. So along the path of contemplative development, we imagine that either one of these components alone does not promote contemplative development, but it's actually their interaction with one another that's actually mutually supportive. So generally speaking, at the outset, when there's this fixation on a conceptual self, we imagine there's a dissociation from the non-conceptual aspects of one's being, what MBCT might consider exclusive doing mode. So never stepping into the being mode. And so gradually, when the non-conceptual is accepted into one's worldview and one starts to value non-conceptual experience, then one experiences less anxiety when something arises within one's experience that doesn't accord with one's coherent conceptual meaning structure. You start to value things actually, not everything can be put into concepts or put into words. And broader awareness can also lead to new perspectives on the conceptual self. As Keegan so beautifully puts it here, development can be described as the subject of one stage becomes the object of the subject of the next. How does this occur? Perhaps through a broader awareness that we can actually get new perspectives by going beyond conceptual mind. That quote at the beginning. Going beyond conceptual mind to new perspectives on ourselves, be more objective in relationship